Hi there. In the previous videos, we've created a MongoDB cluster within a Kubernetes cluster on Amazon EKS using Percona Everest. We've also configured backups in Amazon S3. In this video, we'll further enhance the setup for our new database cluster by enabling monitoring with Percona Monitoring and Management. Let's start by accessing the Percona Everest settings and navigate to the Monitoring Endpoints section. Here you can add one or more PMM services to monitor database clusters. Since we already have a Kubernetes cluster in place, I suggest installing PMM on it using Helm. The documentation provides detailed installation instructions to guide us through this process. So let's proceed with the installation. Firstly, you'll need to enable the Percona repository. I've made a slight modification to the install command by adding memory and CPU limits to ensure that our test PM instance doesn't consume a lot of cluster resources. PMM has been successfully installed. Now let's obtain its public address to access it via a browser. It may take a few minutes for the ingress and host to become operational. Meanwhile, we can retrieve a list of Kubernetes services and extract the public IP. Let's try opening it in a browser. If it doesn't work, we'll need to wait a bit longer. I've printed out the monitoring service information in YAML format to verify the details. Here we'll look for the load balancer status and host ingress. Alright, PMM is up and running. To get the password, let's use the command provided by PMM during installation. With that, we can now log into PMM. Now let's add this PMM to the monitoring endpoints in Percona Everest. For testing purposes, we'll use the same credentials in Percona Everest. However, you have the option to create a separate user in PMM. PMM has been successfully added. Next, let's edit the database and enable monitoring. We go through all the editing steps, and in the final step, we'll enable monitoring. This requires PMM client containers to be installed in each database pod so that the database can be reinitialized. We can monitor the process with the getPods command in the namespace where Percona Everest is installed. Let's wait a few minutes for the database to become fully operational. Now let's check PMM. We can see that 2 MongoDB nodes are already connected to monitoring. I encourage you to explore the experimental dashboards for monitoring Kubernetes clusters. There are also many dashboards and charts available in the MongoDB section. This concludes our video on PMM and Percona Everest. We invite you to give it a try and share feedback with us in our forum. Thank you and see you in the next one. Goodbye.